Some show up at Keeneland just to be beautiful, some for the burgoo. Me, it's because the best handicapping challenge on God's green earth is right here in Kentucky. Star horses come from Florida, California, and New York, Arkansas, and Louisiana, all to what undoubtedly is the greatest horse racing melting pot in America.
Into the stretch at Keeneland, and Flight Line just moves right by. Life is good.
Win here and you've done something. Love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. That's Keeneland. Now, let's get handicapping. We get the week started with the Keeneland look ahead for Wednesday. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now. The Tuesday night show looks ahead to Wednesday racing, 1 o'clock first post tomorrow for an 8-race card that kicks off week 3 of the spring meeting. We are 7 days in. It will be day number 8, so we've hit the halfway mark midway through the card on Wednesday. 15 days of racing at Keeneland. Of course, another 5-day racing week, Wednesday through Sunday this week. And then we will have a 3-day week on closing weekend, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Stakes action to come this weekend. We've got the Double Dog Dare Stakes on Friday, grade 3. That one's already drawn. Interstate Daydream, interesting runner in there. Third in the Ashland last year before winning the Black Eyed Susan Stakes for trainer Brad Cox. He'll look to keep his amazing meet going. Double Dog Dare Stakes on Friday, the feature in the Distaff division. On Saturday, we've got a couple co-features for the older horses, marathoners on the turf in the Elkhorn Stakes. The big spring meet turf marathon here at Keeneland, going 1.5 miles in the Elkhorn Grade 2 company there, big purse. And then also the handicap division has its big race, that being the Ben Ally. We will see. There was some talk and rumblings that we might have Rich Strike, the Kentucky Derby winner from last year, in the field. That does not look like it's going to happen now. So we'll see who ends up in the Ben Ally. That field will be drawn on Wednesday, Wednesday for Saturday, as will the fields for the Elkhorn. So a lot to look forward this week. And as we get set for this Wednesday card, tomorrow the 8-race program includes 2 carryovers of note. $60,000 in the pick 6 carryover. The $1 pick 6 at Keeneland will be races 3 through 8 on the card on Wednesday. We'll go through all the different wagers and where they start and what we're looking at in terms of the big picture in just a moment. And the other carryover that you want to keep an eye on is $20,000 in the carryover for the Super High Five in the 8th and final race to come on the card on Wednesday. So 2 carryovers to take a look at, and we'll look at the entire card as we take a look at the big picture for Wednesday's racing at Keeneland. Again, carryovers in races 3 and 8 for the Super High Five in the finale. Pick 6 carryover begins in race number 3. Swing races, as I call them on these 8-race cards, are races 4 and 5 because they're a part of almost all the multi-race wagers. You look at race number 4 on the card, it's going to be part of the early pick 5. It's going to start the late pick 5. It's also going to be part of the early pick 4. And the race number 5 on the card is going to be part of the early pick 4 and the late pick 4 because the early starts in race number 2. It's going to be the final leg of the early pick 5, and it'll be the last leg of the late pick 5, or the second leg of the late pick 5. So a lot cooking on these 8-race cards because they're so condensed and squeezed together. So races 4 and 5 really have a lot of action. I think we've got a confident single, one of my key plays in race number 5. I don't think we're going to get a big price, but I think you can hone in on just one horse in race number 5, and that's going to really help as you try to strategize the card and play these pick 4s and pick 5s. If a race that's in and out of all the different sequences includes a single, that's a good option there. So that's one of our key plays coming up, second key play in race number 5. Keeneland Turf Pick 3, we will have one despite just the 8-race card. We've got plenty of grass racing for you. Races 4, 6, and 8. And in terms of the weather, things look good. Tomorrow's forecast should be somewhere right around 80 degrees and dry conditions. So looking for a great day of racing. Our key plays will come in races 4, 5, and 8. I'd love to tell you the race number 4 is going to really help us in the multi-race wagers, but it's an underneath play we like at a long shot price. Second or third, perhaps, in a race that's probably going to take quite a few bullets to use to get by in the multi-race bets. So key plays there. And then we got a couple real long shots to close up shop in the finale. So as we do on each edition of the Keeneland Look Ahead, you'll get not only my opinions, but I like to mix in the Keeneland Handicapper Selectors box, where our other public handicappers at Keeneland offer their opinions. Gives us a good chance to see where the favorites may be, where people are really looking to all lay on the same horse and expect them to run well. And then where the long shot races may be, where 4 or 5 of us all have different opinions on a race. So without further ado, here's the handicapper selectors box. You can download this yourself at Keeneland.com. Go check it out. Print it out, take it with you to the track, or keep it on your phone or whatever device you use when you're playing with an ADW. Certainly can help you with the selections throughout the card. Scott Hazelton, Tom Leach, myself, Gabby Gaudette, Kim Nelson, giving you our picks each and every day. We're looking for a better second half of the meet than we had first. No doubt about it. The first 7 days of the meet have not produced a profit for me in the win column, as we've had the last 2 meets at Keeneland. So we need to pick it up here the second half of the meet. We're going to be like Zenyatta and close like an express train. Let's go to the first race on the card for Wednesday. Again, an 8-race program starts with a 4.5 furlong baby dash, as we call them. These are the 2-year-old maiden specials. And this has been Wesley Ward territory historically, and it's probably expected to continue to be historically Wesley Ward territory, because we've had 3 2-year-old races so far at the meet. Wesley Ward's won all 3 of them. 2 of them are horses that were heavily backed. The third one was the longest shot we've ever seen a Wesley Ward 2-year-old pay at Keeneland. He had another horse in the race. He entered 2, and he won with the longer of those. We've got a situation in here where Ward's got the big player in here, Late Night Mistress, and Barai. He's got 2 in here that both, I think, might be first and second favorites here. They're both going to get backed. Let's look at the selections across the way. There are some different opinions in here, though. I've got Late Night Mistress. The 11 is the top of the Wards. Barai, the second pick in here. Late Night Mistress, I like this one a little bit better because she's by Into Mischief, the top dirt sire here at Keeneland. Out of Late Night Powwow, she was a really good sprinter in the Mid-Atlantic, Charlestown Laurel, but she was a really good filly. I'm expecting Late Night Mistress to come out and be a runner here. Barai's got plenty of win early pedigree out of a Freud Dam Palace Dreams by Midshipman, a 2-year-old champ. Rosario rides for Ward. That's been the call, I believe, in 2 of the 3 races so far that Ward's won with the 2-year-olds this meet. Rosario has ridden. So 6 and 11, both obviously logicals. Sapphire Knights, those getting some top choice from Tom Leach in here. And Scott has got You Almost Had Me for John Hancock on top. The 6 has got some strong works. Gaffleone rides for Hancock. It's not a combination you see often. So that one could be pretty live. And other than Wesley Ward, the next best trainer in terms of these 2-year-olds over the years has been John Hancock. But there's a big gap between number 1 and number 2. Sapphire Knights, the one who's the first-time starter, Steve Asmussen sends this one out, will be the first starter ever for sire Matoli. Of course, Matoli was a top-notch sprinter, champion sprinter here in the U.S. He was a little bit of not a late developer, but he wasn't like a right out of the box 2-year-old type. Matoli really got good spring of his 3-year-old year at Oaklawn and went rolling from that point forward. So we'll see if he gets horses that are ready to go right out of the blocks. Asmussen goes to Florent Giroux on Sapphire Knights, outside draw there. Not a big factor if you got speed. If you break and start clearing over, it's not too bad, I don't think, to be towards the outside. But beating 2 Wesley Ward horses in there will be the bigger challenge than the 12-hole, I believe, for Sapphire Knight. So Late Night Mistress, Barai, I'm going to go too deep in the opener. I'm just going to take the 2 Wards and not try to sweat it through there if we're playing the multi-race wagers. Let's look back at the big picture. So race number 1 is going to start the pick 5. Race number 2 is going to start the early pick 4. And this is a race, I'll be honest with you, written at the top of my past performances on this is dislike all 7 of them. Let's see if I can get that out there. My comments that I scribble all over my pages, I dislike all 7 horses in this race. Nothing against them personally. I mean, just for me to try to figure out which one's going to win this race. For everything I like about one of them, I dislike 1 or 2 things. So it's like 1 step forward, 2 step back when it comes to horses just trying to do something that may not be their strength or against the way the track plays. You know, this is a situation where speed's been really good at Keeneland. I don't think you want deep closers. And I think that's part of the problem I've had this meet. You know, generally I am a pace handicapper, and I'm trying to find races that are going to fall apart where a closer at a fair price has a good shot, and I'm going to pounce on those opportunities. And, you know, there have been favorites, 40% winning favorites so far at the meet. That's higher than we're used to seeing. Speed has been just deadly on the main track. I mean, horses are not coming from the clouds at all. No real deep closers at all at the meet on the main track. If that's happening, I'm probably short prices and all speed. I'm probably going to get beat on those kind of cards. And so far, that's been the predominant theme. So let's see if that continues over the final 2 weeks of the racing. But again, for everything I like in race number 2, I dislike something. So these are what we would call default picks. I've got to pick somebody. That's what they tell me to do. So I'm going to go with the 5 in here, Hard Love. Hard Love fits some of the trends of this race, but the determining factor for me, look, appears to be a fire sale, right? This horse ran in Grade 1 company, made the lead in the Belmont Derby on turf back in 2021. Now this horse shows up for 12,500. So, Eddie Keneally's obviously looking to maybe cut ties here. The horse did not run very well. 7th for 50,000 optional claimer at Fairgrounds last time. Class drop should help here. We go to the main track. Will this horse even run on the dirt? The pedigree's kind of turfy, obviously Kitten's Joy on top. Rock Hard 10's probably done better with grass horses than dirt horses as the dam sire. But I'm just hoping the class gets him home in Luis Saez. Luis Saez has an outstanding percentage here. In the mile and the 16th races with 7 horses or less, I like to run these situational stats, and you can kind of do some of that with the free database at Keeneland.com. I also highly recommend BetMix. I use BetMix a lot for my database digs. But I looked at all mile and the 16th races at Keeneland on the dirt with 7 or few horses, because these races are kind of like cat and mouse games, right? Smaller fields. You don't figure everybody's going to go bullying out there to lead. It's kind of a jockey's race. There's 2 turns. They've got to get position, short run into the first turn, short stretch run. So I think jockeys are really, really important on a small field like this, going a mile and the 16th. The win percentage for Luis Saez, 30% in this situation. Mile and 16th, 7 or fewer starters, far and away the most effective jockey. And to me, that was a tiebreaker. When I don't like any of the 7 horses, which one's most likely to get him the best trip? It's been Luis Saez historically. So I changed my picks about 3 or 4 times in this race. I landed on 5, 1, and 6. Let's look at my handicapping partners across the way. Call of Honor, the 1 is everybody else's top pick. I've got this one picked second. This is one at speed in the rail and has a win over the track at Keeneland. So I can totally get that why Call of Honor is the pick for many. Coming off an October layoff, though, I'm not wild about that at this kind of claiming level, I don't mind a layoff coming back at Keeneland for start of the year in some classy situations and horses that are pointed for Keeneland. But this horse was not pointed for Keeneland to run for 12.5 since last October. That's just not the way it works. So this is a big class drop. Horse has 1 game, go to the front, try to take him as far as they can. Call of Honor 6-1 in the morning line. This is one of the reasons why we put up the handicapper selectors box, because Call of Honor is picked on top by 4 of the 5 public handicappers. I've got Call of Honor second. You're not getting 6-1. That's just I just don't think so. When there's that much agreement on who the horse should be. It can be a default pick too, right? You got speed, the rail, less variables. And that oftentimes in a bad race where you can't figure out what's going to happen is the best way to go. I also think Hard Love, if he handles the dirt at all, is a horse who wants to kind of sit right up there second or third. The running lines are all consistent, not as fast as the 1, but if the 2 can go out, the 3 can go out with the 1, maybe the 1, 2, 3 go out, the 5 sits just kind of right behind them. You don't want to be more than about 3 lengths off the lead on this track once you get to the midpoint in the race. They're just not making up that much ground. So we'll know midway down the backstretch if Hard Love's got any shot in here, but I'm going to put my trust in Luis Saez, but I would absolutely do as much as you can in terms of the pick 4 and the pick 5. Again, the pick 4 is going to start here in race number 2 as it does each day, the early pick 4. The second leg of the pick 5, you've got to buy as many of these horses as you can. I mean, I 5, 1, 6, and 7 are all horses I would want to use. You say, why not the 2, the 3, who else am I missing there? 5, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the ones I'm going to go ahead and toss. 4's kind of been off the mark in the last couple. The 2 and the 3 are other speed horses, right? And so if the 1, Call of Honor, if a speed horse is going to win this race, I think it'll be Call of Honor. So the other 2 speed horses, I'm not taking them. That's why I'm tossing out the 2 and the 3, because I think the 1 is the best of the speed horses. And if it doesn't set up for the 1 to win up front, why would it set up for the 2 and the 3 who look a little bit less talented than the 1? In the same running style. So that's why we're going there. I would go 4 deep in this race, 5, 1, 6, 7. But if you want to buy more and use more, feel free. But I'm not one to use 6, 7, 8, 10 horses on a spread ticket very often at all. Let's go to race number 3. And race number 3 is going to start that carryover pick 6. Again, $60,000 into $1 pick 6. This is not a jackpot pick 6 at Keeneland. Straight $1 wager here. And $1 per combination as you spread your tickets out. Let's go to the handicapper selectors for the 3rd race on Wednesday. Icy Stare, top pick by myself and Scott. Get By is the top pick by Gabby and Kim. I've got Get By second. Tom's got Get By second. And Tom's here for the party. He's got number 12. I'm here for the party as his top pick, the 12 at 12-1 in the morning line, Eddie Keneally. We'll see if that's Tom's long shot pick of the day. We'll have to watch today at Keeneland tomorrow morning to see if that's the one he spotlights as his long shot pick of the day. 12-1 there. You want to give him a little extra look. Tom's pretty solid when he goes for the prices. But Icy Stare, the top pick by myself and Scott. This is one that adds blinkers, already has speed. I don't think there's a ton of early speed in this race, and at 6 furlongs maiden claimers, these races tend to play to the front runners. I think the 11 Gormley S has got a little bit of front speed to him, or to her, but not a super duper front runner. The one Briley maybe can break a little bit, but will she have as much speed on the dirt as she did on the synthetic at Turfway and from the rail? Maybe she goes under Chris Landeros, but I do think the 3 Icy Stairs, just simply the speed of the race, and was able to press a decent pace at Churchill on the dirt, and then has made the lead twice at Turfway sprinting. Then you add blinkers on top of a speed horse. You go to Tyler Gaffalione. I think the 3 is going to get the lead, take him as far as she can, and she's the one to beat. Sired by Frosted, should handle the racetrack here at Keeneland. Big workout, 47-4 from the gate, and now adds the blinkers. Now, I did not see the video for that workout, but I would not be surprised if this filly has not been working in blinkers since those times really perked up. She was kind of working 49s, and then all of a sudden, breeze from the gate, 47-3, breeze from the gate, 47-4. Back-to-back gate works, probably with the blinkers on. I'm expecting Icy Stare to come popping out of the gate. Let's see if she can take him far enough. Get by for trainer Ian Wilkes on the class drop. This is a trainer whose horses have all been running well. I've picked a bunch of them in the last 3 or 4 days. He's had an outstanding meet. A lot of horses running first and second. Get by would be the top pick. However, I just think it's going to be too far off the pace. You've got to be up near the lead in these races at Keeneland, especially 6 furlongs on the main track. There's just not a closer profile at all. Maybe it'll change. Maybe we'll have a different wind direction, and we'll have a big headwind down the backstretch tomorrow. Maybe they've done some maintenance to the track that we'll find out about when the maintenance report's reported tomorrow. That's going to slow things down. You'll know by race 3, certainly, if things are still playing towards the front, because we've got nothing but dirt races right off the bat. But I would expect that Get By is going to be running late in this race, but they're just not winning from 6, 7, 8 lengths off the pace like this horse figures to be on paper. So I think it's Icy Stare up front. The 9 comes with the close. The other one to keep a little eye on here is number 10, Call Cat. This is a horse I think we're going to get a price on. The 10 is 8-1 in the morning line. Mike Tomlinson, the trainer there, and this horse had an okay debut running 4th at Turfway, but Tomlinson likes to save his horses for a little bit later in the meet at Keeneland. He'll run more on weeks 3 and 4 when things get a little bit easier. He's a pretty shrewd trainer in that respect, and has had some success saving horses for a little bit later in the season. So Call Cat, I think, one you want to keep an eye on here. 193, the way I see it in race number 3. I think, in terms of the win end, would you single Icy Stare in here? I wouldn't be totally against that move. But 3 deep, no more than that. I'm not going to use any more than the 3, the 9, and the 10 in the 3rd race. 4th race comes up next, and this will be the swing race of the pick 5, because it's the start of the late pick 5. It's also the 4th leg of the early pick 5 on races 1 through 5. Also, you see in the green, the TP3 means Keeneland Turf pick 3, and we've got Turf Milers here in Maiden Special Weight Company. And this is my first key play of the day. We got Ward in the opener. I think the Tyler horse that he's riding in the 3rd won't be that big of a price. The 2nd, I have no opinion on at all. I don't like any of the 7s. So the first time I kind of get interested here is race number 4, and that kind of happens for me a lot. The earlier races in the card, the racing office tries to move them, the ones that probably aren't going to handle as much money, up towards the front. Then they're a little bit less attractive from a betting standpoint. So typically, it's not rare if you look and you say, wow, I never seem to have any picks in the first couple races on the card. It's kind of set up that way. Of the least attractive races are put at the front of the card, because in all the studies and all the history is handle increases as the day moves on, So the better races will be in middle to late in the day. The least attractive betting races will be at the beginning of a card, smaller fields, maidens, that sort of thing you'll often see. So this 4th race in the card is the first one I'm really interested in, because number 3, Paint Me Perfect, is a horse I think's got a real shot in here. This horse ran 4th in the fall meet here at Keeneland, got beat a length and a half at 40-some to 1. I think we're going to be a big price again under Steve Margolis. Steve adds the blinkers this time. Third start in the form cycle here. Has 2 runs at Fairgrounds that weren't bad at all. I think you come back to this turf course, and I think there's going to be a better pace scenario. When this horse ran here in the fall, had absolutely no chance. 49-1, 115-2 for the first 6 furlongs. You shouldn't close a drop in a race like that. This horse still rallied nicely, closed 3 lengths down the lane to get beat a length and a half when running 4th. I like it. David Cohen comes back. He rode this horse over the winter at Fairgrounds. Back aboard, you got the Kitten's Joy on the dam side of the pedigree. I think this is like sprint money speed up top, and then you got that Kitten's Joy turf and stamina on the bottom. I think that's why this horse has a good turn of foot. I think you're going to see a good rally here from Paint Me Perfect, the 3, 15-1 in the morning line. I don't think this horse necessarily gets the victory, though. This is the kind of one who, is going to pick up pieces. But to get the win, I think you make a smaller win bet, and you really want to key this horse underneath. And that's why in my key plays, we're looking to get this long shot underneath in the trifectas. I think you've got a couple other horses in here that really want to be used around the 3 Paint Me Perfect that are much more likely to be the winners of this race. Make the Boys Wink the head of that group. And that's why when you see in my picks and across the way, Make the Boys Wink is picked on top by 4 of the 5 handicappers. The 9, Just Say So. The other one, Eddie Keneally, has this Warfront filly. Warfront sired 2 maiden winners already on the grass here at the meet, going really well with his offspring here at the season. Just Say So also had no chance at all from off the pace last time out at Fairgrounds. Again, the pace scenario, if you like the 3, you got to like the 9 with that kind of style. The 8 also comes from way back in the pack. I think these are all logical horses. The 6 in here, Fancy Cabernet, is one that could be up near the front. There's a route pedigree for this one who was running well, going shorter by Mendelssohn out of a point given mare, but was running better going shorter at Turfway Park and at Fairgrounds. So this horse gets to the turf. Certainly Mendelssohn should get you some grass, and Rosario rides. I think the 6 will be up near the front, Fancy Cabernet. And then the 7 for Chad Brown is also usable in here. Coming off the Saratoga layoff, should be a little sharp. And be a little bit closer to the pace than what we saw when going 5.5 on the grass at the Spa last year. So we've got some options in here with the 3. So the 3 is my key horse to get underneath, but I'm going to use horses like the 6, 7, 8, and 9 around the 3. So let's go 6, 7, 8, 9 with 3 with 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 16 combinations. It's an $8 trifecta. And then we'll put the 3 in the third spot. So 6, 7, 9 or 6, 7, 8, 9 over 6, 7, 8, 9 over 3. So if we can get the 3 second or third, it's only going to cost us $8 for every 50 cents that we use in second, $8 for every 50 cents we use in third. And if we can get the 3 on the board at a big number, 15-1 in the morning line, may even go a little bit better than that. We'd love it. That's what we want to try to do to take down the try or the exact or the trifecta in the second or third spots. Certainly you could go with exactas again, part wheel 3 with the 6, 7, 8, 9. And again, $1 each way, that's $8 for one direction and then 4 underneath as well. And certainly anytime you've got a horse you like at 15-1 in the morning line, even if you think they're going to run under, if you're getting double-digit odds, you want to get a little win money on them as well. So I'm going to use the 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a deep race again for the pick 4s and pick 5s. And like I told you, this is a swing race, race number 4 to the early and late sequences. While I love the race intra-race to play from a standpoint of playing the multi-race bets, this is going to get expensive for us, if we use all of these. But I think there are 5 legitimate options. And I hate to tell you this, but there's a 6th legitimate option if the 14 Bull Toro draws into the race. So I think you want to use the 14. If the 14 gets in the race, certainly would swap into any of the positions if we happen to lose one of our other horses. I think you definitely want to use the 14 under consideration. So our key play number 1 comes in race number 4. And again, it's going to be the 3 horse, nice price, in the second and third slots in the trifecta with our logical horses, the 6, 7, 8, 9, and if the 14 would happen to draw in. Keeneland Turf Pick 3, I'm afraid to say we're going to have to use 5 of them here in leg number 1, which can get awfully expensive if we're looking at a $3 minimum wager for a bet like the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. So we'll see what we've got in races 6 and 8, and if we have too many combinations, it's just a day when we're not going to take a shot at the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. If we can narrow those other races down a little bit, then maybe we take the swing. Let's go next to race number 5. Speaking of swing, it's our second swing race that's part of the early and late sequences. This one's part of everything in race number 5. The early pick 5, the early pick 4, the late pick 5, and the late pick 4. So 4 major sequences go through race number 5. And I'm confident in the single here in race number 5. And, in terms of an intra-race bet, it may not make us much money to go betting Invisible War. I think the horse is going to be 2-1 or less, 2-1 in the morning line. But I think Invisible War is going to get the job done in this spot. So I'm going to single this horse in race number 5 in the early pick 4, pick 5, all the late wagers as well. Invisible War has what I call a little bit clouded form. There are a lot of races in here that are synthetic or turf or route races. Look at this horse's one-turn dirt races. 6 furlongs at Fairgrounds, 3rd. A mile at Gulfstream, 1st. A mile at Fairgrounds, 2nd. That one's 2 turns. The 7 furlongs at Gulfstream is what I circled. Win by a neck. So the 3 races showing at sprint distances, 1-turn races on the dirt, 2 wins and a good 3rd for 50,000. We're back at the 50,000 non-winners at 3 level. Irad Ortiz rides for Mark Cassidy. I think this horse is well meant here in this spot. Likes to sit fairly close within 2-3 lengths of the lead. Probably going to have to do that to be effective over this track going up the about 7 furlong distance. But I think the one Invisible War is the horse to beat. Kim Nelson also has the one on top in here. Everybody's got the one somewhere in the mix. Maybe a few are trying to beat him. So let's look at the other options in here. The 7 for Scott and for Tom is Long Shadow. Kelsey Danner sends this one out. Blinkers on for Long Shadow, a horse who has not raced here at Keeneland in the past. Tappinger Colt is making the second start off the layoff after a 4th place finish at Tampa Bay Downs. So that's Long Shadow. I didn't use Long Shadow in this particular spot, but I certainly respect the opinions of the others. I think the other one to watch is Raymond the 2. This is a horse by Into Mischief. Has a win at 6 furlongs at Oaklawn Park from a little bit off the pace. Going to have to stay a little bit closer to it, but you got Into Mischief, Team Pauline, a lot of pedigree there. Bred to like it here at Keeneland. Has never raced here before, but has a good workout. 46-4 on April 5th here at Keeneland. Maybe Jason Barkley's got this one ready to run. But Raymond, to me, I think is, way less likely than Invisible War. I love Invisible War in here. I don't like anything else really in the race to kind of like, go digging into the or the intra-race exotics. So again, for me, it's just a single. Can I get through race number 5 using one combinations for any of the pick 5s or any of the pick 4s or the pick 6 if you're going to happen to take a shot at that carryover? I say yes. And so it's a single for me in race number 5. Let's go to the 6th on the card. This is a 1.5 mile turf allowance, entry-level company here. 1.5 mile marathons, Graham Motion territory. He's got more 1.5 mile turf wins than anybody here at Keeneland. He and Mike Maker are up at the top of that list. They're both represented, and that's where I'm going to lean in race number 6 as the second leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. For me, comes down to those 2 barns. Master of the Ring with the 11 for Mike Maker, and number 3, Evan Harlan for Graham Motion. Pedigree to get the long distance, certainly for Evan Harlan. This is a son of Temple City who was by Dynaformer. Anytime I see Dynaformer in the pedigree going long here at Keeneland, 1.5 miles on the grass, it's almost a blind bet. I'm throwing the Dynaformer offspring and progeny into the mix. So Evan Harlan, as a grandson of the great stamina-influenced Dynaformer, gets a major bit of respect for me. But I think under bet here at 9-5 in the morning line, and a speed horse. This race really profiles these 1.5 mile turf races at Keeneland, especially at the entry-level allowance ranks. They really lean towards horses coming from well off the pace. I know on Sunday we saw the Pletcher horse go to the front and race 1 or 2 on the card, that 1.5 mile turfer and wire, but that is so rare to see. In this kind of situation, the average winner comes about 8 lengths off the lead after the opening half mile. It's as big a closer profile as you're going to see at any track anywhere. So I think the horse who has more closing ability is the 11 Master of the Ring. For the 2 really good 1.5 mile turf trainers here with Maker and with Motion, Evan Harlan wants to go to the front. Master of the Ring wants to come from behind. I'm going with the come from behind horse on top, but I'm going to use both in the multi-race wagers, including the turf pick 3. Anybody else beats me in here, so be it. But the one thing we know about this field is there is no Keeneland form to pick from. This field has 12 starts at Keeneland, no wins, 1 second, no thirds between them all. That's not good. So these horses have not run well at Keeneland in the past. Evan Harlan has never set foot here. First time trying. As for Master of the Ring, has 2 tries off the board in both, but beaten 4 lengths in one of those races, beaten 2 lengths in the other one when running 4th and 6th. So he's been respectable over the track, but he's got to get better. And I think a good pace setup here with the 3 going to the front, the 11 coming off. I like divergent running styles when I go too deep. So race number 6 is just an 11-3 for me, 3-11 multi-race bet if you're looking. You could also look at some potential doubles from race 5 to race 6 as we go back and say with, if Invisible War is like 9-5 and the price is too short that you want to play intra-race, maybe you look at some doubles, 1-11, 1-3. 1-3 is going to be on the chalkier side, but 1-11 might not be a bad daily double to take a look at and get a decent price with. Let's go to race number 7 up next, and no multi-race wager starting here other than the late daily double because we've only got the 8-race card. Race number 7 is a claimer for $75,000 claiming tag. This is the first time we've run a $75,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime at Keeneland. I've got the database back to 2006, and I can promise you they never ran a $75,000 non-winner of 2 claimer before 2006. I can't imagine that claiming price tag showed up anywhere. This race, a mile and a 16th, and Film Star for Brad Cox has to be respected in here. The recent form isn't great, but the Brad Cox horses, as we saw over the weekend, they just continue to run well. The ones that are bet, they have been running tremendously. I had a blog that I did earlier this week. I want to say like the Cox horses. Where in the world is that sheet? I've got so many papers here. You people wouldn't even believe how many papers I've got laying around. I thought I printed it out for tonight's show, but the Cox horses are hitting at a tremendous percentage. Check out the blog section with the expert selections, and you'll see the stats from Brad Cox. But when they're like 5-1 or less at this meet, they're like just rubber stamped in the exacta. So I would expect Film Star the 2 to be very tough in this spot. Mile on a 16th race, we told you all season, and it's playing out again. Cox horses win about 31% plus at a mile and a 16th here at Keeneland. They come off that short stretch, and they've only got to get to the 16th pole. We saw it in the Lexington Stakes with First Mission, ran down the Baffert horse, re-braking at the top of the stretch and just accelerating and getting there. So expect Film Star to be very tough in this race, despite some, less than flattering recent form. But the other one I like is Group Hug. Group Hug is going to be my top pick in this spot. I think we're going to get a much better price. 9-2 in the morning line, may go a little higher than that. But this horse goes turf to dirt, just like the time that he broke his maiden. He broke his maiden as back in 2021 as a 3-year-old at Churchill in the fall when moving from the turf to the dirt. We're back to that form cycle. This is also second off the layoff. This horse was off from May to March. Good return race for Maker at Gulfstream on the grass last time. Now they go that turf to dirt move again. I'm going to take my shot with this 5-year-old son of Speightster. Group Hug is my top pick in here. Now, I know, look, we're gambling on a 1-for-19 career horse. You don't want to get too invested in a 1-for-19 horse with confidence. So I think you're going to have to use Film Star in here as well. The 7 Royal King looks like the speed in this race comes out of a good race against Corona Bolt, a really nice 3-year-old that we saw come back and win the Lafayette Stakes. And then speaking of 3-year-olds, number 5 Princely is in this race. He's a 3-year-old taking on older horses. We don't see this very often at Keeneland in the spring or around the country for that matter. 3-year-olds in April running against older horses. Now, a 7-pound weight allowance does go to Princely for taking on the older horses. That can be helpful here at a mile and a 16th. Princely also comes out of a really, really good race. Bishop's Bay won that day. Demolition Duke was second. First Defender was third. That was a high class, one of the better maiden races all season at Fairgrounds. I should say allowance race. Those horses were all live coming out of their maiden races, and Bishop's Bay looks like a future player. I mean, a real stakes horse. So Princely comes out of some good races. That one at Fairgrounds specifically, probably better than the form suggests, but you're taking on older horses. It's a tough test. That's a tough test, but to get the 7-pound weight allowance to do so, I could see the 5 being used in here. 6, 2, 7, and 5 are all usable to me in this particular spot. I lean towards the 6 and the 2 if you have to kind of shorten things up for budget, but I would really consider, despite a 7-horse field, that going 4 deep in here may not be a bad idea. 6, 2, 7, and 5 for me in race number 7. As you look across the way, Royal Kings picked on top by Scott. Tom and I both are on Group Hug. Gabby's going with the 3-year-old Princely. The one Chelino, who I didn't even mention it while going 4 deep, is the top pick for Kim in here. So this is a race that's only 7 horses deep, but I think you want to use good bit of them when you're playing the multi-race wagers. Let's go to the eighth and final race on the card, and you'll see I've got a pair of long shot as my bombers in here. And race number 8 is my key play number 3, and this is also the final leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. So we talked about maybe going 4 or 5 deep in race number 4. I think you can get through race number 6 just using 2 deep. So let's say we're 4 by 2. That means it's $12 in combinations already at the $3 minimum, or we already have 12 combinations. At the $3 minimum, we've already spent $36. So it's going to cost us $36 for every horse we include if you want to play the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. Now, the fact is we've got a couple long shots here. So you want to get some win money on them. But if you want to kind of roll the dice and at $36 a pop, really try to pop in here on the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, I'll give you 2 options. The 1, Stay Lost, and the 5 horse in here, Bel Rosso, both at 15-1 in the morning line. Stay Lost ran really well over this turf course in October. Premature move that day and kind of got hung up at the end. Throw out the last trying the dirt at Churchill. Things went awry after that, physically, obviously, and hasn't appeared since. While we haven't had a lot of layoff horses win the turf miles so far this meet at Keeneland, historically, that's been a great profile. Turf miles are the easiest place for horses to come back and fire off a long layoff. The pace is usually modest, and they just really pick it up the final 3 furlongs. You don't need to be super fit. You just need to be sharpened. I think Norm Cassie might have Stay Lost sharpened in this particular spot. I'm taking that one on top. Gabby's got a third, so she's got hubby's horse in their third. I like Stay Lost as my top choice. The 5, Bel Rosso, also one you definitely want to consider in this race. This is a horse coming off 2 good races last year. The race against Chop Chop at Ellis Park was a good one because Chop Chop was one of the better 2-year-old fillies last year in Kentucky for Brad Cox. She has not turned out to be anything at all since then, and then as a 3-year-old, but she was sharp last year. So the form for Bel Rosso is pretty darn good. And Jeff Hiles gets Brian Hernandez to ride here. They get Lasix for the first time because remember, the 2-year-olds weren't racing with Lasix. So this horse gets Lasix off the bench, freshened. Turf milers off the layoff, good prices. I'm excited for the finale. Stay Lost, Bel Rosso, both 15-1. The other one I've got in there third is Frontal Attack. This is the first-time starter by Warfront. Again, there's already been 2 Warfront maidens win on the turf so far this meet. Chad Brown sends this one out for Peter Brandt. You have to respect the connections. Irad Ortiz is going to ride, but I haven't seen a lot of the work for Frontal Attack. And this isn't a profile where first-time starters win a lot of the races. Experience tends to win these. So if Frontal Attack wins, tip the cap and move on. But I'm going to try to beat her with 2 long shots. Stay Lost, Bel Rosso. Potentially, you might be betting both to win. You certainly want to get to those 2 long shots in the last couple races on the card. Late doubles to the 2 prices. Late pick 3s to the 2 prices. Pick 4, pick 5. I'm going to try to wrap up the multi-race wagers with those 2 and only go 2 deep. And if I can catch one of the 2, we're looking at a nice payoff for sure. So that's the way I'm going to wrap the card up. Use the 1 and the 5 in the race 8 finale. We got to get one of these big ones to pop in. Too many favorites. And what I mentioned in that stats blog I wrote that I was hinting at earlier that I cannot find the printout of. Wait a minute. Here we go. At the end of the night. So let me read a couple of these stats to you. The Brad Cox stat we were talking about, how Brad Cox is not misfiring at this meet. He's had 11 runners at 2-1 or less. 10 of them have finished in the exacta. So when Brad Cox is 2-1 or less, he's 10 for 11, 6 wins, 4 seconds in the exacta. With his favorites, he's 7 for 8 in the exacta, 5 of those winners. And if he's just 5-1 or less, he's 12 for 15 in the exacta. So the Brad Cox horses, the only ones that haven't run were the ones that were kind of let go at bigger prices that just didn't seem to fit. Everything else he's had is really running well. The other thing we want to talk about is how the favorites are winning early in this meet. 40% favorites, almost 39.7%. That's up from what we're used to seeing. You know, we're used to seeing about 35% over the first 2 weeks of a spring meet like this. So we're running higher. But in the past, that has kind of flattened out a little bit at the end of the meet. So we kind of expect that the final 2 weeks of the meet to kind of drop. We're used to seeing it go down about 2 points over the final 2 weeks. So I don't think we can sustain 40%, 39.7% favorites at the meet. If we do, I'm not going to have a good final 2 weeks either. That's just the way it's going to be. But we're going to try to get some prices here to wrap things up. But again, check out the Keeneland Keys blog. It was posted on Monday on the Keeneland website in the handicapper selections area. So scroll around to the different dates and find that on Monday for 5 key plays. Good turf meet for Shug McGahee so far, and some stats there on how the Turfway horses are running so well. Turfway's already had 10 winners at the meet, and they're averaging 13-1 odds. If you can catch these Turfway horses, easier said than done sometimes, because you got a race where sometimes there might be like 6 Turfway horses in a particular race, but they're paying back at 13-1 on average. The Turfway Park winners, certainly a good place to price shop. We hope you enjoy the races tomorrow at Keeneland. Again, should be great conditions, fast and firm. I think we'll be looking at. First post is at 1 o'clock, and tomorrow they will draw the card for Saturday. Saturday's card includes the Elkhorn Stakes and the Ben Ally, so we'll know the big fields for the stakes races coming up tomorrow afternoon by the time the first race rolls around. Thanks for joining us tonight. You can catch this on demand after the conclusion of the show at the various channels for Keeneland and Bet Keeneland and the Keeneland Racing Twitter handle, as well as the Keeneland YouTube page. Check it out at your convenience leading up to the races each and every day. I'll be back tomorrow night for a look at the Friday card. So good luck to you. Tomorrow night we'll be looking at the Thursday card. So get our days straight here. Tuesday for Wednesday, Wednesday for Thursday. So when we see you on Wednesday night, we'll be taking a look at the Thursday card. Good luck, everybody, on the kickoff to week number 3 coming up on Wednesday.